Good morning. Looking like we might be in a range here. The lows are pretty inconsistent, unless you draw them maybe a little bit tighter, or this is already some sort of breakout. Short-term uptrend, break, new high, gets a second leg up, though this second leg is a lot larger. Looks like we have a little bit of a minor downtrend here that has a break and two legs to a new low. And a short-term uptrend. So I'm definitely long biased right now.
Hey, Drew.
Hey, Lane. Sorry, I had a little interruption there. Now back to it. So to me, it looks like we're coming off of the range lows. The downtrend has played out with a break and two legs down, and we have a short-term uptrend. So I'm looking for a setup off the EMA. It looks like I forgot to get Apex up and running. So let's do that here. And let's make sure that's working. So let's put a buy limit in here. And it looks like that went over to Apex,
canceled.
so we are good to go. Short-term uptrend continuing to work higher pretty strongly here. Still looking for a setup off the EMA. So what I'd like to see is a two-legged pullback to the EMA. Nothing for me to do here, just waiting to see if prices are going to pull back. And if they do, then I might be interested long, just depending on how the pullback looks. At least we're already getting some movement. Feels like it's better than yesterday. Yesterday was real slow and boring. Getting pretty close to the overnight highs here. So even if we don't quite reach them, this could still be a resistance zone right here, so prices still could turn down a little bit early. Though I'd still be open to taking a long if we get a pullback to the EMA. We're really far away, so I'm doubting we're going to get it, especially before we could break a new high of the short-term uptrend. I'm picturing the prices are probably going to break a new extreme and come off of the opposite, or the resistance right here. Stacking inside of this bar, obviously congestive. Looks like we're moving towards a break and new high here. Still stacking within this bullish bar. You might be able to hear my dog in the background. Don't know what he's barking at. Looks like the support is higher. Still struggling to come back to the EMA, showing there's lots of buying going on. Expecting prices to come up to this break and new high. So the break and new high has been achieved, and we're up by this overnight high, so I'm expecting prices to probably turn down here, but we're going to have to see how they react off this level. Pushing up and through pretty strongly. So right now I'm thinking prices are going to come back and test this congestive area, this breakout here. I'm also expecting prices to most likely fade this overnight high. So let's see what prices do whenever they come back and test this area, which will most likely happen. Just chopping around, congesting inside of this bar. Price is struggling to come back and test this breakout and come back within this range. So it's possible that this gets held to support and prices do end up going higher, building some other sort of trend here. Just in a wait and see what happens type of mode, with the uptrend having already played out and being at these overnight highs. The setup that I would be looking for is a possible short if we push below the EMA and pull back to go lower, or if prices prove to me that they're going to go higher, then maybe I'll take one, but I'm going to have to wait until it's more clear that prices are going to hold above the EMA, or hold above this range, basically. forgot to lock up my phone this morning. So I'm going to do that right now. 2 hours and 20 minutes. Throw it on Do Not Disturb. Grabbing my timed lockbox and locking this up. 2 hours and 20 minutes. All right, there it goes. One less distraction. So it looks like we are still struggling to come back and test this breakout area, and we might be holding above the overnight highs now as support. Feeling a little groggy right now. At some point I might go make some tea, maybe some coffee. Okay, continuing to work higher. I'm going to look for some sort of spike in channel. So maybe something like, that doesn't look quite right. And that doesn't really start off anywhere. Maybe you end up getting something off the bodies. Let's try something like that. So now I am leaning long, but I'm still not convinced. This could just be a second leg up right here after the break of this strong uptrend. So maybe this is 2 legs up, and now we're going to head lower. Definitely the spike in channel does not look correct, so I'm leaning towards this being correct. I'm going to draw true channel here. There we go, break 2 legs up, and now it looks like we might be coming back within this range. So let's see what prices do as they test this prior resistance, the breakout area. Still closing right at the overnight high. And it looks like we might be holding this overnight high as support. Just waiting until something clearer happens here. I want to see if prices are going to be able to push strongly through the EMA, pull back, and then look for a move lower, treating this as a range, or I want to see if prices are able to hold this overnight high as support and then start trending higher. Until then, I'm not interested in taking a setup. Right now we're just kind of chopping around, and it's really hard to take an entry in something like this. Looks like you might get some sort of smaller range on top of here, but the resistance is not proven yet, so we'll have to see what happens in just a moment. We still weren't able to come back and test this breakout area, so there's definitely some buying coming in here. Also, look how prices are failing to come back to the EMA, even after this uptrend has played out, and you made a fail breakout. So that's definitely telling you something about the buyers in the market. Had to cough there, so I muted my mic. Now it's looking like there might be a possible spiking channel. I was looking at one earlier. Didn't end up being correct, but maybe we do end up getting something like this. This little range area that I was drawing does not look like it's going to be correct. Prefer to play this spiking channel. So now I'm pretty sure that we are going to work higher and that this range is not correct. I'm going to draw the overnight highs here to remember that yes, this area was holding as support, but I don't want to continue thinking that this is a range and continue expecting the fail breakout. So removing that, and then now I'm going to start playing this as an uptrend. So right now I'm just looking for a setup off the EMA to go long. Before we get there though, I definitely prefer to see if this trend could hold again to really prove to me that we are going higher. But definitely if the support comes into play, so if we were to come down and break this trend right now, and this support area were to come into play with a good signal bar off the EMA, I would probably take that. I'm interested to see how this looks if we are to measure this leg. I think we've already surpassed that though. That's right, we have. Okay, we're coming back to test the spiking channel that I have drawn, and it's not looking like that is going to hold even a little bit. We're coming off of this support level and the EMA, but even if this bar closes really bullish, I'm not going to take that. It's just one short little leg down with a really big bar if this is to close. So if I draw this for 1-to-1, then you're asking a lot out of prices there, so I'm not going to take that. Going to redraw this because it is looking like it might hold. Okay. Short-term downtrend continuing to work lower here. What I'd like to see is a close outside of the short-term downtrend with a break and new low, and then a nice setup off the support and the EMA. That would be the ideal setup for me right now. Even though I'm not completely sure of this, where the uptrend is right here, if there is an uptrend, it still looks to me like there's an up bias. So I think I'd still be willing to take a long. Still looks like the downtrend is in play to me here. So even if you get a bullish bar, I don't think there's a close outside, and I'm not willing to risk trading into the short-term downtrend. I'd like to see maybe a little bit of a higher low right here. Still looks like it's in play. I'm going to draw it off the body. Looks like that might fit just a little bit better. Like I said, not interested in this bar because the short-term downtrend is really still in play right here. Now that we've also pushed through the EMA, I'm not convinced that this is going to hold. So there's a possible trade. It fits my criteria, but as I said, I'm not going to take this one. It's just this one pretty strong leg back. I'd prefer to see some sort of higher low here to create a second entry long. Drawing the risk reward here just to see if prices are able to hit that level. So even though you pushed through the overnight high, which was that support level, it still looks like there is some support in this area. Maybe it's just a tad lower. So if we get a higher low above the EMA right here, I'll probably take that. Okay, it's a pretty strong push down. Let's see what happens here. And we continue down to make a new low on the short-term downtrend. Prices are picking up some volatility. Looks like this might end up being a range after all. And just in case you didn't know, which you probably didn't, the way that I do trades is I mark green trades not as trades that are aggressive, but just as ones that fit my criteria and that I'm not interested in. So this trade I would not take, but it does fit my criteria, so I marked it for review later. Looks like we surpassed this measured move down. Bears are in control now. And as I mentioned, it looks like this range might actually be correct now that we're getting this strong push down. If we got some sort of good setup off the EMA to go short, I might take that. I think to be able to trade price action, you need to be able to switch biases on a dime. So I was thinking that I might go long here, but with how prices reacted at the EMA, I quickly switched, and now I'm willing to go short. So you clearly have a congestion area here. You might get some sort of failed breakout of this congestion. Maybe you'll get some sort of setup that way. I'm not convinced that this downtrend has a break and new low. You could draw it super tight, in which case maybe there is. But to me it looks like I'm just not convinced here. So I'm thinking that prices are probably going to come down and test this low. Continuing to chop sideways. Struggling to get back to the EMA here. Just continuing to chop sideways still. Ideally what I'd like to see now is a failed break out of this congestive area with a good signal bar off the EMA to go short. Okay, we reached the break and new low for the short-term downtrend. So I'll definitely be a little bit more hesitant taking any shorts now. I was looking at a possible downtrend coming down from here, but I don't think that that's correct. I think it's more likely that we would maybe get something like this. But even that doesn't look like it's going to be correct right now. So we have a failed breakout the low side of this congestive area. Expecting a breakout of the high side now. The downtrend has already played out, the short-term downtrend. So even if you get a good signal bar off the EMA after a breakout of this side, assuming that happens, chances are I'm not going to be interested there. Going to draw this just in case, but chances of this being correct are like 50-50, if that, possibly lower. I wouldn't play it until it's confirmed, is what I mean by that. Now, one setup that I actually might be interested in is if prices come off of like this kind of vertice right here, where there is this resistance level, the EMA, and then a possible trend line. That could be interesting to me because I'm expecting prices to go from the highs of the range down to the lows right now. Price is just continuing to chop sideways. Even though the short-term downtrend has played out, prices are still struggling to get back to the EMA, which again is telling. Bears are probably in control here. Looks like this little congestive area is dismantled. So you have a failed breakout the low side. And that's about it. It's a pretty strong push up. I was saying that I might be interested in taking a setup here, but it's looking like, I don't know, just doesn't look right to me. I mean, sure, this could be kind of what I was talking about, where you're coming off of both these levels, but it doesn't look right. I don't like it. So unless there's a larger downtrend that ends up being in play here, then it's worth noting that the short-term downtrend has played out and prices are now turning higher. So the bulls might actually be in control. Let's see. I don't think there's any setup that could happen right now that I'd be interested in. I have to wait for some sort of clearer structure first. Okay. Maybe this downtrend is a little bit wider. Although I want to be careful playing too wide of a trend whenever prices are choppy like this. That's burned me a lot. Clearly you have a break of the short-term uptrend. So let's see if this possible downtrend here holds. Maybe if you get some sort of lower high that comes off of this downtrend again and the EMA, that could be interesting to me. It is looking like it is potentially holding. This short-term uptrend is unlikely to play out. I feel like whenever I'm talking on these live streams, I'm just saying, oh yeah, this could be the case, this could be the case, but majority of the time I'm not sure what's going to happen, and that's why I'm not taking trades majority of the time. There's only a few instances whenever I'm feel like I'm really confident in what's going on. Okay, so I'll be really interested if there's some sort of lower high off of the EMA, and no such luck. Prices are pushing lower. So now I'll need some sort of complex pullback to the EMA. Something like a two-legged pullback would be really great. Prices are moving down really strongly here. Going to extend the opposite side a little bit so it comes off of all of these. So it's these wicks. This downtrend is looking really valid right now. Some sort of siren out there. Not sure if that should be concerning or not, but ignorance is bliss, I guess. So it's really looking like this is a range. I'm thinking prices are working from the highs to the lows, and this downtrend is looking valid with 3 touches on the main side and 3 touches on the opposite side. So what I'm waiting for are for prices to return to this main side of the trend line, and once they do that, I'll be looking for some sort of setup off the EMA. Looks like prices are turning off of the midline of the downtrend. They turned off it here too, so again, looking really valid right now. Short-term downtrend with a break. Prices look like they're moving towards the break and new low. Break and new lows hit, and prices are finding support off of the opposite side of this trend line. So let's see if this holds. Now prices might be ready to maybe work back higher. For me at least, in the way that I'm trading, it's such a low likelihood that 1, I'll know what's happening in an area, and 2, there will be a setup that's within my criteria in that area. And when it does happen, there's a chance that I don't even take it. So it's like just such a small, like just such a low likelihood that I actually end up taking a trade, that I don't end up taking a lot of them. And that's all right. Just means have to be patient, but I think that is one of my personal strengths is patience. So something that I can find that uses that is probably a good thing. Getting a pretty strong move higher. Again, just waiting for prices to come back to this main trend line. Now that they were bouncing off the opposite one. The short-term downtrend has already played out, so the inner trend has already played out. Just waiting to see what prices are going to do as they come back here. Just gotta wait, watch, and see what happens. Let's say you get a setup off the EMA before we come back to the main trend line. Majority chances are I'm not going to be interested. So I had one viewer, and it looks like they left after I said that thing about being patient and not taking many trades. which I'm not surprised. I think most people that are watching something like this are looking for someone to just copy their trades and probably take a lot of them. So, you know, that's just not me. I'm streaming mainly for accountability, just to keep myself, one, here at the chart at the same time every morning, two, staying on the chart until 12 o'clock whenever I am done trading, and three, to try and improve the quality of my trades, I guess. You know, by being live, I know that maybe very few people, if anybody, is actually watching, but at least it's out there. So I kind of have to watch what I take, and there's no picking through showing, you know, what trades I want to show and which ones I don't, because it's all out there. It's live. I can't cut this. I can't decide not to show one. Okay, if we get a good setup off this trend line and the EMA right here, I'll be very interested. Going to go ahead and put in an order just in case. Prices are looking pretty strong though, so it's probably unlikely. Prices are looking really strong. I'd need to see some sort of lower high now because of how strong prices are there. So I see an uptrend with a break and a new high. Now, even if prices close below the EMA, I'm not going to take that. The bar is really big. That was a really strong push. I'm going to wait on some sort of lower high. So this is a second entry short, but I'm not going to take it into the EMA. One of my rules is it has to be off the EMA with shorts below and longs above. So can't do that one. But if there's some sort of lower high right here with a good signal bar, I'll be all over that. Looks like that second entry short would not have worked. If I was not trading the criteria that I am currently trading, there's a good chance that I would have taken that. Although it's not within my criteria, I'm going to mark this green as something to study later. I'm not sure of this uptrend. It could already have a break in new high. Looks like if there wasn't already a breaking new high, there is one now. I was sort of zoned out there, so I'm trying to zone back in. So the uptrend to me looks like it has a break in new high, so I'm looking for some sort of lower high or failure under the EMA. Prices are stacking within this bar. Congestive. Looking for a strong push below the EMA and some sort of lower high or failed second entry long. Okay, so we have this downtrend here, working from the overnight highs, which looks like a range. This downtrend gets a break by this minor uptrend that now has a break and a new high, and it looks like prices are attempting to push below the EMA. See if they're successful. It's funny that even after all this time, I'm tempted to just be like, boom, I think I know what's going to happen. Hit the sell button. I'm not going to do it, but I still feel that inside of me, that urge to just be like, hit the sell button. Let it ride. So right now, we have a pretty nice close below the EMA. So what I'm looking for is a lower high off the EMA. You can see there's a short-term downtrend working down. So I'm just waiting for a lower high with a good signal bar right off that EMA. This is at least looking like the closest we've gotten to a setup all day. Let's see. Are we going to tick higher? Okay. So now I'm waiting for a bearish bar.
Order submitted.
So now that we've ticked higher than this one, if we get a nice bearish bar below the EMA, that's looking like my setup. Looks like a downtrend here that's broken with a minor uptrend, break new high, push below the EMA. We come back and test this congestive area. And so now if we get a nice bearish bar, I'm going to take that. Okay, doesn't look like that's what we're going to get.
Order canceled.
Prices are going to close back above the EMA. And we're back to waiting. Maybe we'll get a failed second entry long. It's possible. Prices are looking really sideways here. Even if you do get a failure, I don't know if I'm going to take it. Just running through my head that this might be the 5th day in a row that I take no trades, which might be a record. So I'm wondering if it's partially because I'm on this live stream, but I haven't seen any trades that I think I've passed up and been like, man, I really should have taken that. Partially, I think it's the criteria that I'm trading. Just taking these good signal bars off the EMA. There's only so many of them, and while Mac does mark, a lot of trades, this is the one setup that I am personally the most comfortable with. So I don't know, maybe I'll have to sort of think about widening the criteria, but I haven't had any wins or any losses, so it's hard to tell, Short-term downtrend has a break, and it looks like we are working towards the new low here. So just to run through again, it looks like we have a range off the overnight highs and the overnight lows. You have a pretty strong uptrend that gets a break and a new high. Looks like there's that kind of 3 legs up there. Maybe you could count this as just kind of 2 legs, with this first one having 2 legs. Then we get this short-term downtrend, break, new low, creation of a larger downtrend, gets broken with a minor uptrend, gets a break and new high. In the process, creates this congestive area. You get a breakout with a short-term downtrend. Prices come back and they test that, hold the old support as resistance, and it looks like we might be moving lower, though we are finding some support off of this level right here, and that's not a measured move. So I'm thinking that prices are likely going to come to this overnight low after coming off of this overnight high, and they're probably going to want to test this break a new low of the downtrend, but you can tell they're really struggling to get there. Even after this uptrend played out, prices are struggling to stay below the EMA. Had to sneeze, so I muted the mic there for a sec. So the short-term downtrend does not end up getting a break a new low. It's a double bottom. Had to sneeze again. Pretty tired here. What was shaping up to be a pretty interesting day is now looking like a pretty slow and uninteresting day. Maybe this uptrend is actually a little bit wider, and this is the break a new high. I'm practically falling asleep in my chair here. Okay, so looks like we're working towards some sort of measured move up. It's worth noting that prices were not able to hit the break a new low for this major downtrend, at least not yet. That's not to say they won't come down here and do it, but they're struggling to do so, which tells me that the buyers are in control. We also are struggling to come down to the break a new low of, or not the break a new low, but this the overnight support, which looks like the range support. And we're working higher even after coming off of a potential failed breakout of the overnight highs. That tells me that the buyers are definitely in control here. I'm not ready to take a long, especially coming right up to these overnight highs again. But if we are able to break out and there's some sort of structure that forms that tells me that we're going to continue higher, then I'll be interested in going long. But it's also possible that we end up just turning down off of the overnight highs, off of the range highs here, and we start making our way down to make maybe a larger leg down similar to this one. So maybe we get something like this, prices come and they turn off of there and we get some sort of second leg down. That's a possibility. Just gonna have to wait and see. Chopping sideways, looking congestive. Might already be a break a new high, but not sure. This could be a little bit wider. If there wasn't already, now there's definitely a break a new high. Continuing to move sideways. We've touched off that overnight high again. Getting a fail break out of the congestive area and a fail break out of the highs of the range. Well, I say fail breakout, just a breakout. There's a breakout of both of these. And we've hit the measured move up. So let's see what's going to happen. Are we going to turn back down and head for maybe that break and new low of the major downtrend? So are we going to head down here? Or are we going to continue higher? I don't really care which one happens, but I'd like to see something happen. Looks like there's the possibility for a trend up. I'm guessing that this is actually going to end up being tighter. Maybe something like how I initially had it. Maybe this already has a break and new low here. So I'd say that, boom, break new low. Maybe we're working higher now. Looks like this trend is not correct. There might be something like this working up, something a little wider. We're clearly going past that measured move. Looks like this range is not holding really at all. I think this is contradictory to what I used to believe. You don't have to be right all the time, and you don't have to be right all the way through. So at the beginning of the day, I thought there was a range here, and then we broke out here, and I was thinking that there's not a range. And then we come back within, and I was thinking, maybe this is a range. And then now that we're breaking out again, I'm like, probably not a range. And it doesn't matter. I can think that, and it's fine. As long as I'm only taking a trade whenever I am actually sure what's happening. That's all that actually matters. I don't have to be sure all the time. It's interesting, this level lines up. So this was the overnight high, it lines up with these previous day highs. So 2 days ago this was the high, yesterday this was just about the high, and then now we have that as our overnight high for today. Usually I have at least 1 or 2 people popping in and out of this stream, but today there is nobody. I mean, there's one person earlier for about 30 minutes, but that's it. That's all right. I'll be interested to see, as I keep doing this, if I get some people that start watching on a pretty regular basis. My guess is that people are only going to start watching if I, first off, change the thumbnails so they're more interesting, and second off, actually start, really burning it up. Right now, at least since I've been streaming, I haven't taken any trades at all, and in general, I'm not a consistently profitable trader. Looks like this trend is not correct. Really uncertain what's happening here. Nothing for me to do. Maybe there's some sort of trend like this. for the most part, I'm pretty zoned out of what's happening right now. I mean, you just kind of have to wait until prices do something to see what's going to happen. Right now, my best guess is that this uptrend is correct. This one. But just going to have to wait and see. And until then, there's nothing to do. really nothing to do and nothing to say. I mean, just waiting for prices to return to this trend line, see if it holds. Still just waiting for prices to come back to this trend line. Of course, it's possible there's maybe a spiking channel, but not enough information yet. Just looked at Max midday chart. he says that he might be looking for some sort of measured move up here. And he has a range drawn there. So I don't think that there's really much proof that this is the range high, but we'll see what happens. Finally, looks like we might be working back towards the EMA and this trend line. So if this holds and then we get a little bit of like a higher low, I might be interested. So I just caught myself thinking, I'll take just about anything that fits my criteria. But that's not a good way of thinking. That's just straight out of boredom and impatience. So what I should really be thinking is, I'll take a trade if it fits my criteria and I really like it and it looks like a good trade. Not just I'll take anything just because I'm bored and being impatient. So what I'm waiting for right now is for prices to come back to this main trend line. If they're able to come back to it and prove that they're going to hold it, then I might consider an entry. That's it. That's all I can say at this point. So right here, there might be a short-term downtrend with a break and a new low, and then a good signal bar off of the main trend line and the EMA. So if we get that, then I might consider an entry. What I'd really like to see, though, is for prices to come down to this main trend line and then have a higher low. But you are getting pretty close to what could be the range high up here. So I need to be careful about that. Okay, so we have the break. We might be moving towards a new low and getting that setup that I was thinking that I might take. Prices are looking a little bit sideways though. That's something to note. So now I want to see, are prices going to hold this trend line? Let's find out. Nope. So they broke it. Means this trend line is probably not correct. It never got the third sort of confirming touch right there. So I'm going to draw a trend line like this and just treat this as if it's a this and then break in 2 legs up. It's also possible you have something like this. That's definitely a possibility. I'm going to stick with this though. Looks like we came off of this sort of resistance area and we are moving lower. If we get a failed second entry long here, I'm not going to take it. Looks like there's some support in this area. Also, I'm a little bit uncertain about what's going on. We are an hour and 45 minutes in. Still have about 50 minutes left. It's a pretty strong downtrend. If we get a nice pullback to the EMA, I'll take it. So this has proven to me that yes, we are going to go lower. So now I'm looking for a nice pullback to the EMA. Really strong downtrend. My ideal setup right now would be a two-legged pullback to the EMA, looking for a break and new low of the short-term downtrend. We've broken the short-term downtrend. Looks like we might get a move to a new low long before we reach the EMA. Looks like we're attempting to hit that break and new low of the short-term downtrend. Man, I'm really bored. I'm sitting here playing with a ruler. Okay, we might actually have a move up to the EMA. Prices are really kind of congesting here, stacking a little bit. Maybe we'll just keep moving up. If we get a good signal bar off the EMA right after this push, I'm not going to take it. Looks like just one leg up, even though it is a true second entry. This to me just kind of looks like a double bottom. So again, if you get a good signal bar here, I'm not going to take this one off the EMA. Reason being, just looks like one leg up. If you get any kind of a little bit more of a complex of a pullback, then I might be interested. And this might work out, and if it does, Mac might mark it, but I'm not confident enough to take something like that. So this does fit my criteria. I'm going to mark it green, but it's not something I want to take. Now if we tick lower and then we get a little bit of a lower high there, something like that, that's a different story. I'll probably be interested. Doesn't look like we're going to tick lower there. We got a nice push above the EMA. This is just a really mixed trading day. Just very, very little that I'm interested in. Because of how strong this leg was, even if we get a lower high right here, I'm not going to take that. Most likely. Let's see what it looks like. So let's think here, actually. So just running through the day, we have a minor downtrend break, 2 legs down, pretty strong uptrend break and new high with what looks like kind of 3 swings up. Short-term downtrend that goes into a slightly wider downtrend with a break and 2 legs down. You're failing to reach the lows of this range, so it shows there's some buyers in the market. You have this uptrend that gets a break and a new high, creates this congestive area. Short-term downtrend breaks it, comes back, holds the old support as resistance. Prices make a double bottom before they surge higher in a short-term uptrend. We chop sideways. There's a break and new high of the short-term uptrend, but prices find traction on the slightly larger uptrend, which gets broken, and then there's 2 perfect legs up. You're not quite able to hit what looks like the range high, but you get pretty close, so it looks like you are turning down in that same zone. Short-term downtrend gets a break, attempt at a new low, is not able to hit it, and you get a short-term uptrend working higher that pushes above the EMA. So what am I thinking is going to happen? Well, the uptrend's played out. You're coming off of this zone here. You had a strong push down. Prices were not able to hit the break and new low, so you might still hit this break and new low, but this is a pretty strong push up that goes above the EMA. And now prices are just kind of going sideways. So even if you get a lower high here, I'm not convinced that you're going to hit this. If you look, we're making continuously higher lows. So here's a low. On a major scale, you're hitting a higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. So I don't know. I don't think I would, if there's a lower high here, I don't think I'd take that. But if there's some kind of failure, further proof, maybe. But it's looking like I'm probably not going to take a trade today. Short-term uptrend has been broken. It looks like prices are moving towards a break and new high. Now, if you get this break and new high and then a strong push below the EMA, then you get a lower high. Maybe I'm interested there. I'll be more interested than if you didn't have a break and new high. But the bias is really uncertain. Just can't really determine what's going on today. Compared to the last few days where I was pretty sure what was going on, there's just not really a good setup. Today, there's not really any good setups, and there's also not really any times where I'm pretty sure what's going on. So it's just one of those days. I'm going to pull up the price action trading form. Just scroll around, see if anybody's taking anything or doing anything interesting. Honestly, I'm just really bored right now, and I probably shouldn't be doing this. Chances are no one's really said anything anyway. Nothing really interesting. There was one guy in there who took this second entry today and was saying, wow, such an easy, good scalp, but I would never take that. I mean, look at that. You broke above the overnight highs. Super congestive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stacked bars with a bunch of dojis. You already hit the break and new high of that uptrend. That's a pretty awful trade. But I remember those days whenever I used to take trades like that and think that they were good just because they won. But, you know, it's just not the case. There's the potential for a failed second entry long here. Prices are looking really choppy though. And the momentum from this short-term downtrend has waned. Usually I would just like to see kind of a perfect two-legged pullback where it looks like prices are actually going to come back and test this. Whereas this one, prices came up and they've just been chopping around. It seems like if this is a magnet, so like if this break and new low is a magnet, the closer you are, the stronger the magnet is. But now that you have so much room between this break and new low and where prices are right now, the strength has significantly decreased. That's what it seems like to me. So I'm not going to take this, even if there's a good signal bar. Doesn't look like there's going to be. So either way, no thank you. 30 more minutes. And just out of boredom, pulling up Discord. And there's really just nothing going on today. even if we get a potential lower high off the EMA here, I don't know if I'd be interested because like there's not like a super clear reason to be looking for a short. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of looking like a dud of a day. Another one. Yep, if this ends a good signal bar, I'm not interested. Maybe I should be, but it doesn't feel right. Be entering right into these lows. Really looks choppy. Super uncertain reason to go short. So, looking back at just what's happened, I'm thinking, looking at what I think Mac is going to mark, I think Mac is going to mark this trade green as a second entry long, looking for the break and new high here, but it's green because it's so far from the EMA and it's congestive. That's what I'm thinking there. I think he might mark this one green as well, because prices have played out. So there's an uptrend that's played out, and then you're getting this engulfing bar. So he might mark that, not to take after the bar closes, but as an engulfing bar. I don't think he'll mark this one because it's just one leg up and it's not even off the key entry point. Obviously he won't mark this one. He might mark this long right here because it's a kind of like a triple test right there. So he might mark that as a triple test and like 2 legs down. He'll probably mark this one green because it looks like the uptrend gets a break and 2 legs higher, and then he'll probably mark this engulfing bar to go lower. But all of those are way too uncertain for me to take live. And part of me right now is thinking, okay, I need to find something where I can take more trades. But does it actually matter to take more trades? I mean, if I could hone in on something where I'm hitting with a high clip, it doesn't matter if there's a lot of trades. That's really it. I was going to keep talking, but that's it. What I could do is start taking some of these more aggressive trades on sim and just take this this one trade that I'm really confident in on this Apex account. Don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and call it a day though. I'm really bored. I'm not paying super close attention. I don't see anything that is even remotely interesting to me. I doubt there's gonna be anything that sets up in the next little bit here. So I'll see you guys tomorrow.